fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Ha! Munson here from Expats Portugal with the Good Morning Portugal live stream show and podcast. Took myself by surprise there. Probably did you as well. No, nothing to do with the wine club last night. A great do though it was. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Garvo, for leading the way with that fantastic wine last night. The reason I wasn't on the screen is because I was hastily writing, and I'll just tell you this in person anyway instead of a ticker tape this morning. I'll get around to doing that in just a moment. But it's Consumer Tuesday. And of course, we'll be speaking to Serenity's Dr. Michael Averbukh at 9 o'clock. And at 9:30, our favorite lawyer live from Lisbon, Daniel Reis. And I'm hoping to find out more about the Portuguese legal system. Is it the same as the country you hail from? It's probably a little bit different, and we'll find out about some of those nuances from Daniel at 9:30. Plus, of course, any questions you've got about health for or using the Portuguese health system, ask Michael Averbukh. Dr. Michael Averbukh, actually. And I think he'll be bringing along one of his case managers as well for you to meet. And any legal questions, if you've got any questions about the law or legal questions, which I guess sound like the same thing, and that may be me being a bit verbose and circumlocutive there, but you know what I mean? You know, there are general ideas about the law, of course, and how it works in Portugal, and you might have a specific question to ask on a legal note as well, with the process you're involved in that requires the oversight of a lawyer. So to get those questions in, do pop them in the chat. Or let me know nearer the time when they're on the screen. You put your questions directly to those aforementioned gentlemen. The Dr. Michael Averbukh from Serenity and Daniel Reis from Reis and Pellicano, our favorite lawyer in Lisbon. Who's in this morning? Let's have a quick look before I tell you what else we've got on the show in this first half hour. We've got Andy Ubi Lee. Deagle's here as well. Deagle sent me a very interesting article about the comparison of Belfast and Lisbon. Thank you for that, Deagle. James is in with his current name, which is They Call Me Mellow Yellow. That's right, slick, and then it ends there. Laura P's in as well. Brian, where you been? Tony Baldylocks is here too. Francis, thank goodness you're here again, Francis. And Chris, Capricorn Chris, Stephen Wells. A few of these names from last night joined us for the wine tasting as well. It was great, Gary. Thank you. I really liked the Dow Red that we had. The Cat's Paw. I'll be buying that again. I liked it. It was light. It wasn't full-bodied. It was suitable for summer here in Portugal, rather than those very heavy reds that I'm not used to yet, or probably wait until winter to be trying again. Sarah's in from Stubble as well. How are you? And Anna from Sweden. Thank you, all of you, each and every one of you, for being here. Pam as well. Pam's in from Alcobaça. A warm night here in Alcobaça, says Pam there. We'll come back to all of those. We have a Pfizer do dia. I'm not sure we have a Coach Turner insight yet this morning. Maybe he's overslept. Maybe it's one of his rest days that he was recommending. Yesterday, he was talking about how athletes, top athletes, train 6 days a week, I think. We don't need to do quite as many as that, but maybe a little bit more than just the one, I think, was the gist of his training tip yesterday. Will Rogers as well will be talking to us via James as well this morning. And in other, well, not other news, but other features here on Consumer Tuesday that I want to share with you this morning. I would like to, and you may need to prompt me because it's another nice full show with lots to share with you. Tony, toothpaste and trains. There is a CP, Comboio Portugal, I think is what CP stands for. There's a lovely beach ticket offer that Garvo was keen to share with you and send me the link for that. I'll share that with you. Great deal from CP. for getting you to the seaside at a very good price. And, obviously the chance to explore as well that way, thanks to CP and using Portugal's wonderful public transport, especially the train system. Toothpaste, if you like your toothpaste without fluoride, because apparently it gets wrapped around your third eye or something like that, then you might like to know about a Portuguese brand that's been around for a long time that sells such a substance. And Sally's Snails, Caracóis. You'll have seen the signs around the place. Ha, Caracóis. Snails here, which are delightful to eat. If you're not a fan of the tremoços, the little beans, or actually they're quite big beans, aren't they? Or the sunflower seeds that you might nibble on while you're having a beer, why not try the snails here in Portugal? And also, it was August the 1st yesterday, the International Day of the Rescue Dog. Thank you to Ali Sheldrake for mentioning that to me in the last couple of days. Just managed to squeeze in a little mention of that late last night. With a little mention of Jimmy and Peggy, our dogs, who not exactly shelter dogs. I think that's what August the 1st is about. It's about shelter dogs, and goodness knows there are quite a few of those in Portugal. If having a dog is part of your game plan, please consider getting a shelter dog first and foremost. And yesterday, August the 1st was indeed the day of the shelter dog. Let me see if I can bring a picture for you of Jimmy and Peggy. Oh, I've got the logo of the fluoride-free toothpaste. Actually, if you've never heard of that concept, can those who espouse the use of a fluoride-free toothpaste please tell us why now? It's not because it gets wrapped around your third eye, is it? Or maybe it is, and we can discover that this morning, whether that is the case. And I mentioned Tony, didn't I? Tony, toothpaste and trains. I have the most beautiful set of pictures from Tony Medeiros, who was a self-proclaimed lurker who's come to the fore with the most delightful pictures of not only food that he's been eating. That is really unfair, Tony, to share those sorts of pictures of delicious food in the Azores, but also some of the scenery in the Azores as well. And so he has established himself. He's hit the ground running with some beautiful imagery that I'm going to share with you. Thank you, Tony, so much for sharing those pickies. We will come back to those. We'll come back to the toothpaste. We'll come back to the trains. But I think I was trying to share a picture of Jimmy Choo with you as well, just to finish on that little note there. When it came to August the 1st yesterday, and a picture of Jimmy and Peggy, but it's not, I don't know, it's just disappeared. Like a stray dog running off into the night. It has actually disappeared. Let me see if I can just try that once more. Here on Consumer Tuesday, 9 o'clock then. This morning, we'll have Dr. Michael Averbukh, and 9:30, Daniel Reis. Oh, I see. It's trying to save it as some sort of strange file. Did you know that if you press Shift, Windows, and S, you get a snipping tool? And some of you might be saying, yeah, Carl, we've known that since Windows Navigator or some such thing from back in the 1990s. I didn't know that. I'm quite delighted to have discovered that. It's made a real big difference to my efficiency. Yes, snigger away if you like, me and efficiency in the same sentence. But yes, I'll have to come back to. I have snipped it. I've sent it to myself in WhatsApp, and I will be sharing that with you. You'll go, well, as soon as you see the picture of Jimmy and Peggy, oh, so cute. Oh, I think I can actually do it now for you. Check this out. All of that, what was happening whilst I was waffling on. Quick access. Yes, here we go. We've done it. Well done, Carl. Fantastic. Snipping and cutting and pasting, and now bringing to your screen. You see, it was worth the wait, wasn't it? Peggy and Jimmy. Oh, look at Jimmy Choo there. He's just small enough to put in your handbag or your man bag. Smaller than Peggy, who's tiny anyway. There they are in one of our renovation projects. Oh, my goodness. Celebrating then August the 1st, which was yesterday, the International Day of the Shelter Dog. Thank you, Ali, for bringing that to our attention. Ali who you're saying? Ali Sheldrake, of course. And you can also subscribe to her wonderful newsletter. You've seen Ali on the show a number of times. Here is her wonderful newsletter. Why am I recommending it to you? It's because it has wonderful photographs of Portugal and mention of Ali and Dave's wonderful life here in Portugal as well. Look at that on the screen for you now. Subscribe to their free monthly newsletter, Snapshot, the monthly newsletter from Alison and Dave Sheldrake. But of course, it has mentions of Cat the dog in there. She, of course, wrote the book Cat the Dog, the story, the most uplifting animal memoir since A Street Cat Named Bob, apparently, was one of the reviews. and Black Beauty. I shall stop that because I'll start weeping if I sing any more of the Black Beauty theme, but it's Black Beauty for dog lovers. There you go. You can do that at AlisSheldrake.com. If you like your information coming in from all over Portugal, that'll be quite Algarve centric right there, and quite Cat the dog focused as well. The link to her site right there. Thanks, Ali. And maybe Ali, send me a photo or two if Dave doesn't mind, and I'll stick him on the screen. Parabéns, says Victoria, from an awesome wine club broadcast last night. Absolutely brilliant to see the gang on the screen doing what they do best. Cough, cough. You're too kind, Victoria. You had the bacalhau brush at home, didn't you? And I made a silly joke, didn't I, about bacalhau à Brás, which many a teenage boy, I suspect, sniggers about when they see it on the menu. They're with their parents in a Portuguese cafe and they see bacalhau à Brás and they're thinking, tee Brás on the menu. It's not like that, young men. Pull yourselves together. Grow up, for heaven's sakes. Absolutely brilliant to see the gang on the screen doing what they do best. What? Drinking. Yes, I think you're right. Snipping tool is fab. It absolutely is, isn't it, Pamela? How long have you been using it? For me, it's just a few weeks. I need to cough again. So at this point, I'm going to play a video for you. This is one of Tony Madeiras' videos. It's a little bit of an introduction to how what a sensitive photographer and image capturer he is. Check this out. This is absolutely beautiful. The first of a few then from Tony. Let me just take the snipping tool comment away because it's not entirely appropriate right now. Let's go to the Azores for a moment. Isn't that lovely? Now, put your hand up if you like that sound that pigeons make when they're flying off. Put the other hand up as well, and then see if you can do it yourself. No, only pigeons and doves can do that. Isn't that beautiful? That's your starter. Let's go to the main course of the images in the Azores. Then it's going to be a bit weird because the food is going to be the dessert. But let me just show you some images that have been shared by Tony from the Azores. Azores, if you're American. Here they are. Look at this. Lovely hydrangeas on a little path. And there's another pigeon. I think he's a pigeon fancier, isn't he? As we call them in the UK. A lovely bloom, then some lovely colour for you this morning. This is what we love, isn't it? Seeing pictures from all over Portugal. If you've got your own, send them in to me, 913-590-303. A lovely long shot then. I think we're still in the Azores. These might be from all over Portugal, in fact, but I think these are focusing. We're beginning our photo journey with Tony in and around the Azores. There we go. Another long shot on the houses, the rooftops of the Azores and the volcanic hills in the distance. Then another, this is, what is that one? Agapanthus, isn't it? The agapanthus that you'll see all over mainland Portugal, and clearly a signature bloom in the Azores as well. Back to a street view then, and the volcanic mountains in the distance as well. Life in the Azores, looking sunny and beautiful there, isn't it? And I think after a while you can learn, can't you, the different terrain that gives the fact away. And I hope it is the Azores, having said this. But Madeira, the Azores, they have their own characteristic landscape that gives it away sometimes. I think more hydrangeas now. Yes. Granny flowers, as I like to call them, not in a bad way at all. And then another long view. Look at that. Sea in the foreground, sea in the distance as well. One of the many islands of the Azores there. And an arty nighttime view. One of the wonderful Portuguese public art installations here. And is that some vending machines as well? I'm not quite sure what was going on here. I thought we were on the moon for a minute, and some really funky calçadas on the ground there, covering the street. And then a globe mounted on a stone plinth and a beautiful sunset there. So Tony Madeiras clearly got a wonderful eye for photography. Let me open up his message to me. and let you know exactly what Tony has been saying. Yeah, a lurker, by his own admission, not a bad thing. We know there's a few of you lurkers, and it's lovely when you show yourselves, especially when you bring to the screen beautiful images like that. Good afternoon, Carl, he says. I'm reaching out. I hope my reaching out to you inspires you to continue your work. It absolutely does, Tony. There are people like me out here who don't participate on your live chats or live streams, but enjoy your show on the YouTube replay. And we still feel like we are part of the Gumper family, that wider community. How lovely is that? Thank you very much, Tony. And I do appreciate you, and I do appreciate all you lurkers, all you podcast listeners, the people who aren't quite as showy offy as some of them here, some of the Gumpers who are very forward every morning with their messages. And you're telling me a little bit about your plans, Tony, which I'm delighted to hear. And you say you will be going to Madeira. I think these are all from the Azores, and you're saying, yeah, maybe we'll get together at the San Martino de Porto meetup. I certainly hope so. I'd love to shake your hand and buy you a beer. We'll send you a couple of pictures shortly with some of my dining delights, says Tony, here in the Azores. Have a wonderful day. Well, right back at you. Igualmente, my friend. Have a wonderful day yourself. So let's have a look at what you ate that same day of sending those lovely pictures. Look at this. Oh, my word. I've got to tell you what these are. This is some home. No, it's not home cooking. That looks like a restaurant to me. But he does say my very own cookout at Parc Florestal Pinhal de Page. So what is a cookout? I mean, is this like a picnic situation that you've entered into here? And you've taken your own ingredients and cooked them at a kind of Parc de Merendas? Let's get to the bottom of this mystery. But that is, are they lapas grelhadas? Picture number 2 there. We'll soon find out. I'm sure I'll be told by the likes of Antonio F if I've got these wrong. But that's some lovely seafood that's been grilled on a cast iron skillet there. That looks delicious, Tony. What have we got there? That's got to be some bacalhau, isn't it? Fish stew. Oh, okay. I think I've done these in the wrong order. This is his very own cookout. And very respectable it is too. Yeah, there we go. So there's the cookout. I've done these in the wrong order. But no matter. The cookout at the Parc Florestal Pinhal de Page. So presumably then, these are no, that can't be the lapas grelhadas. I think they are. But anyway, I'll stop trying to match up. Oh, wait, there's a quiz. Which of these pictures is the lapas grelhadas? I think this is the fish stew. That is looking like a fish stew. And the plate is a giveaway that it is indeed the Cantinho do Caixa. There, the Key Canteen, cafeteria, cafe, restaurant there with a nice crisp white. I can see the condensation on the glass, and it's making me thirsty. Oh my goodness, let's all go to the Azores, everybody. The Azores or the Azores, depending on which way you say it. Next picture, please. A pineapple, but Azorean pineapple. And we talked last night about the simplicity and beauty of Portuguese wine and the flavors of Portugal. And there you have it on the plate. The simplicity of an Azorean pineapple, which is delicious. No cooking, no cream, nothing, just plain flavor and taste to go alongside your end of meal coffee there. Oh, my mouth is watering. And this will be a gelado con canela, also at Caixa 20, Caixa 20 there. And I think the one picture that I've missed, where is it? Because there's a fried octopus somewhere. And I imagine it is this one here. That's going to be, that's the fried octopus. That's the fried octopus, of course. I hope I've made you hungry and delighted about Portugal and going possibly to the Azores one day. A lot of those dishes you'll be able to eat all over Portugal, of course, but they'll be done in a special Azorean way. And all of those wonderful pictures there, courtesy of Tony Medeiros. We had a few T's. That is the alliterative letter of the day. We have Tony. We have toothpaste. We have... what else? What was the other T? Trains, of course. cp.pt. We'll go there in a little while. But I feel a little bit rude not saying hello to all of you this morning. Let's see who's in before we go. Oh, we've only got 10 minutes now to fit all of that in before Dr. Michael appears. Bon dia, Carl from Belfast, then. Very wet Belfast. Rain started approximately 3 p.m. Solid 12 hours. Damp morning here, but more heavy rain due today. Then a few dull, dry days, high teens temperatures. Deagle, you definitely need to get that winterlet sorted out in the Algarve, don't you? Much needed was the rain. Had 5 buckets out to collect the rainwater, hoping for more today. My goodness. So similar challenges, a bit droughty over there in Belfast by the sound of it. Rain needed, if not necessarily being enjoyed day after day. Nice article. This was the article comparing. Actually, I'll stick this in the show notes because I'm sure this will be of interest. We had Peter on the show, on the wine tasting show last night, from not far from you, Deagle. I suspect will be interested in the comparison between Lisbon and Belfast. Nice article in a local paper about the transport system compared to our failed transport system in Northern Ireland. I think we're still trying to invent a wheel to move. I'm sorry to hear that. And Bon dia, Gambas. Feliz a terça todas from James. Como val? Very good. With a Will Rogers quote today, the best way to make a fire with 2 sticks is to make sure one of them is a match. Thank you very much. Dad joke absence this morning. The T-Duck not feeling the May West and still struggling a little bit with a dental issue. So lots of love to you, T-Duck, to Thunder Duck, and I hope you're feeling better and that your bill, not your dental bill, but your duck bill, and all the teeth therein are safe and well and not giving you any more pain. Laura P also here. Bom dia. Vai ser semana com clima perfeito em Algarve. Okay, well, that's great. You're having a perfect clima. I'm struggling with, but you're having, I think there's some sense of perfection with you and your life in the Algarve. And why not? Of course. Bon dia, Gumpers. Brian Taylor is in. Baldylocks, Tony. The countdown continues. I think we're 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 3, Thunderbirds. No, Tony Baldylocks is go. And Bon dia, Algria, Toros. Anyone else remember Jerry Anderson and and the Thunderbirds? And Aquamarina, and what were the others? The Mr. Rons, Captain Scholar. Anyway, hope all are well. Gonna be a Lurker Supremo. Lurker Supremo, that's a new level of lurkerdom, isn't it? Good, a lot going on, but great to be here. Thanks, Francis, appreciate it. Stephen then, Capricorn, 12, 2, Sarah, we're going with, of course. We decided that earlier on, didn't we? And Anna in Sweden, Bon dia todos de Estocolmo. I don't think that needs to be said in the Portuguese. That's Swedish, isn't it? Estocolmo. And why do the while we're about it, can you help with the Norwegian situation here, Anna? Why do Norwegian ships have a barcode on them? Why do Norwegian ships, I hear you ask, Carl, have a barcode on them? Because they like to Scandinavian. Okay, onward. Ubi's here as well. Bon dia, all you heartbreakers. What? Why are you saying that, Ubi? What's the matter? Lee is in as well. Good morning, people. How's that lovely little Eve? And how's Sandra as well? Faja Dodia, Falling in Love, which of course we're all doing with Eve from the group Surface. Another fantastic group of 80s soul and jazz funk. The LP is great to listen to while chilling on the beach. Falling in Love. Don't know that. I'll have to check that out after the show. Stick it in that collaborative Spotify playlist, if you will, Chris. Bon dia, warm night over there in Alcabasa. Drew's in from Australia as well. How you doing, Drew? Lovely to see you. Aussie. I don't know why, but he's saying that, and maybe you're a man caver from time to time, Drew. Bon dia, Carl. Toros from Moaz. Hi, Moaz. Lots of late nights and long lines while off with a bad ankle. Oh dear, Brian. Had to catch up on YouTube later. Fair enough. Sorry to hear you're not feeling very well. Yes, seen the signs for Sally's snails, you say. A little tongue twister there. And of course, little snails, Karakush, are tongue twisters in their own way, aren't they? Let's have a look at this. This is amazing. Thank you so much for these. What is this? And where are they? Karakush in Google Photos. I didn't even know what some of these tabs are that are open. I think I better close some of them. And let me show you Sally's snails right now with a little bit more alliteration there. Here they are. Thank you very much for the Karakush collection here, Sally, which you mentioned a long time ago and I forgot about. And then I thought the other day I saw a sign not unlike these, and this is why Sally has collected these, because everywhere you go there are different interpretations of Karakoish advertising based on the phrase Karakoish. They're here, voila, almost, I suppose. Voila, Karakoish. Is a good phrase to learn in Portuguese, isn't it? And you can use it in this way. Aren't these fantastic? Thank you so much for all of these wonderful pictures in your images in your collection here of Karakoish. Some quite simple, some even featuring on a beer glass, because I think this is serious. Julio dos Karakoish, or Julio dos Karakoish there. Straightforward, to the point, using a bit of clip art, a lot of them, a bag of them there, advertising them. I wonder if that attracts the flies. as well. Bag of old Karakoish shell. They're not even old, are they? They're before, they're the before ones, not the after ones. Ha Karakoish, that's a little bit more elaborate there, isn't it? Francisconde.pt there. I think a lot of these are around Lisbon, where Sally is based. And of course, you can talk to Sally about her life in Lisbon. She is part of the Ask Our Expats team. Demos Karakoish, that's a bit different, breaking away from the Ha Karakoish, and an Ah Karakoish there as well. Thank you, Sally. These are wonderful. Já chegamos. We have enough, is that? Já chegamos a Ha Karakoish. Well, we've got plenty, I guess, of snails here. These are fantastic. And it will all, this is going to be falling into place for a lot of people. Ah, Ha Karakoish. I see the great Portuguese snack to have with beer. Ruja Ha Karakoish. I think, do you know what? I think I'm going to have to come back to the train offer and to that non-fluoride toothpaste later on, because now, oh, actually, I've got a couple more minutes. Let's let Michael just settle in for a moment. Dr. Michael is here. Pam's saying CP also have a historic trip along the Douro on a steam train. Great for a special occasion. That sounds beautiful. So then before we go to Dr. Michael, who has some interesting information for us today about the health system. Let's have a very quick look at this offer then. The beach ticket offer from cp.pt or cp.pt over here in Portugal. It is the, may I present to you then, it is the beach ticket offer, friends. Bringing it to your screen right now. Here it is. Look, the bilhete praia. Forgive me for translating to English. I don't need it myself, but I thought for some of the rest of you here, you might like the English translation. A beach ticket with the heat squeezing in. The hard part, is choosing where to lay the towel. Does that sound like one of those Portuguese sayings to you? The hard part is always choosing where to lay the towel. I bet that sounds good in Portuguese. Get to know the beach ticket and learn how to travel to the best destinations this summer. Is that my beloved São Martinho de Porto? I think it is. That is the famous boardwalk down to the beach that I have photographed once upon a time. Actually, more than once, many times. The prior ticket, this is the Lisbon version of the urban trains. The prior ticket allows you to travel unlimitedly on the Lisbon urban trains on the Cascais, Sintra, Azambuja and Sado lines for only €14 for 7 consecutive days, counting from the moment of purchase. Isn't that a great offer? €14 for 7, not every day, for 7 consecutive days. It can be purchased from July the 1st to September the 30th and is available at ticket offices, vending machines, and online. I don't think you can buy it off the fella on the train. I don't think so. So get that at the ticket office, at the vending machine, or online from July the 1st to September the 23rd. And I will give you the link for that, because I think some of you will want to take up that offer. The Cascais line has beaches that are Passo de Arcos, Santa Amaro, and Carcavelos. Look at that. Parede, São Pedro, São João, Estoril, Monte Estoril, and Cascais. The Sado line used the Setúbal and Praça de Cabedo, stations with connections by bus to the beaches of Figueirinha and Albarquel, and by boat to Troia. Look at this, for €14. And on the Sintra line, use the Portela de Sintra station with bus connections to Praia Grande, Praia de Massas. Been there. That's lovely. Praia de Massas is a wonderful fish restaurant. Well, they probably all do, don't they? But we've eaten at a beautiful restaurant at Praia de Massas and Praia de Maguito as well. That is a great offer. The link to that is going into the chat right now. Thank you for that, Garvo. That is a great tip. CP.pt, well done on that. That is superb. Discount ticket link going into the chat right now. And bang on 9 o'clock, we welcome to the screens our good mate and doctor friend, Michael Averbukh. How are you this morning? That's a good offer, isn't it, for those beach tickets?
Good morning, sir. What? I didn't hear.
It's a lovely offer, those beach tickets. I don't.
Yeah, it sounds very, very nice.
Good value.
You said €14, right?
€14 for a 7-day ticket to all those beautiful Portuguese beaches. Michael, have you been to the beach yet this summer? I fear you might have been working too hard and not managed that yet. Is that right?
You see, I'm too white for the beaches here. I'm getting burned. I'm getting like
It was a bit of a giveaway, my friend, but you've been working hard. Yeah. Have you had a holiday yet this year? We're concerned about
Not yet.
Oh, my goodness. You will do, though.
Thinking about it. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it.
Well,
probably it will be an imaginary vacation.
Michael, as you are our doctor here collectively, but we're going to turn the tables. We insist that you have a break and rest yourself.
Okay.
No?
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, all right. Okay, fair enough. So how have you been since we last saw you? What's going on? And how's Lisbon?
All good. Lisbon is great, except for the fact that there are some too much of a sunny days.
Yes.
Hot, but ain't everywhere. So,
Yeah,
all good.
Okay. And you have brought one of your colleagues with you. I think we can bring.
Yes, we have Rafaela.
Good morning
Good
to you.
morning.
Cheers, Rafaela.
How are you? Where are you? And what do you do at Serenity?
I'm okay, thank you very much. I'm a nurse here at Serenity. I just started as well, so now I belong to this wonderful team, and we are here to help our clients.
Oh, superb. Okay. And Michael has talked about the training that he gives to help people go from a little, it's a kind of boot camp from being nice and Portuguese with a little bit of the Israeli vibe there for the pushback, dealing with the system. How's your training going? How's that working out for you?
So far, so good.
Okay, excellent. So you're a case manager, right? Is that what you do at Serenity?
Yes, I'm a nurse case manager here, and I have other wonderful colleagues that work with us, and we are here basically to help our clients to navigate the sometimes a little bit complicated Portuguese health system.
Yes, sometimes a little bit complicated. That's very nicely put. And foreigners and expats coming in will experience that from time to time. And of course, if the pair of you wouldn't mind telling us some of the things you do for people as an example, some people still might not know who Serenity are. And so, this is a very useful to have you here this morning to explain that to people. It can be a big problem. It doesn't seem like it. It's all good fun and the sunny days in Lisbon that Michael referred to. But then if you get a bit poorly and you need to navigate with the health system, Serenity are an absolute godsend. I'm sure people keep telling you when you help them out. So, Dr. Michael, for instance, an example of how you help people out on a day-to-day basis, if you will, and then we'll come to you, Rafaela, as well.
Well, actually, I have like tons of examples each and every time we come on air. But the idea is very simple. From the very, very beginning of someone's journey towards relocating to Portugal, from the very start of getting just to understand how would I get my prescription medications here, Serenity can help and advocate, accompany, hold you by the hand through all your journey towards Portugal and specifically in Portugal. Yes. Choosing the right health insurance. And choosing the right health insurance, we always speak about it. It's not about just going online or buying insurance or going to the bank and signing the paper that somebody handed to you, saying, hey, we have a great insurance for you. Choosing an insurance is an issue. It has to be your insurance. It has to serve your purposes. Using the system with an insurance or without an insurance, having to understand how you get your prescription medications. I mentioned that. I woke up. I didn't wake up. For 2-3 weeks, I have some symptoms. I don't really know where to go. I don't know how the system works here. Who are the physicians? Which hospital is considered good or less good? All of these issues are solved by our case managers. All of these issues actually are one phone call away. You have a call, you have a dedicated person, Rafaela or other case managers. This is the person that knows you best, knows your needs, and will solve it for you. Yes. So literally, except for calling 112, the ambulance, if there is an overwhelming emergency, all the rest, you need to remember only one phone number. And that's the biggest advantage of Serenity. You call us, we'll solve it for you.
Yeah, fantastic. Rafaela, would you like to add to that? You're fairly new to the team, I think. What does a normal day look like to you, and what are you looking forward to doing with the clients you work with?
So basically, when we receive a new client, we have like this initial interview, and we understand the client as a whole person. And we basically just to try to understand how can we help, the problems and issues that the patient needs to be solved, and which kind of appointments the patient will need, which kind of help the patient will need. And then we help them to guide them. We always explain everything about the Portuguese health system, being public or private. Whatever they prefer to use, we will be here for them, and we will make the appointments for them. We organize everything, and we also give our advice as nurses and doctors that work in this team. We also help them to try to understand. Sometimes they don't need to go right away for this doctor or this specialty. Maybe if they see a general doctor, they will book an exam, and then if the exam has any kind of change, we can book a specialty for that person. But until there, we are here to help. And if something happens, we can be, of course, if it's something urgent, they should call 112. But if something happens, we are here, and we are here to help the patients having their rights and understanding what they can have and what they can be provided with in any kind of system that exists here in Portugal.
Fantastic, excellent stuff. And your nursing experience, are you Lisbon based, from somewhere else in Portugal? What's your
so
nursing?
I'm from this area. I'm from Lisbon, and I finished my degree and I worked here for a while, but then I did go overseas. I have been in the UK for almost 3 years in intensive care, and it was an amazing experience.
I bet.
But then I decided to come back, and Lisbon is amazing. So
yes, and of
I'm
course,
very well.
Yeah, Portuguese nurses, famous worldwide for the intensive care treatment supplied for the Prime Minister. I'm not going to mention his name because it upsets people. I don't even know if he's still the Prime Minister, but he was in intensive care, wasn't he, Boris? And
Yes.
He was looked after by at least one Portuguese nurse, as I recall.
Yes, it was one of my colleagues. I don't know him personally, and it was in London. I didn't work in London, but
Wow.
it's true. It's true. It was a big news here in Portugal.
Amazing, amazing. And that, of course, is what happens to a lot of Portuguese doctors and nurses. They go abroad, don't they, to seek possibly, better conditions and so on. And that's a bit of a shame, I think, for Portugal, but hopefully that will change. But something both of you will know about are patients' rights. And again, this is where the advocacy of Serenity comes in. As a foreigner, you're hardly likely to be not only ill in a hospital, but then saying, I know my patient's rights, because you probably don't. You might not speak Portuguese, and it's not going to come across very well while you're laying there on your sick bed. This is something you wanted to talk about, Michael, right? The understanding of patients' rights here in Portugal.
Yeah, I really wanted to mention that patients' rights are practically universal. I couldn't come across anything that is very specific for Portugal on one hand, and on the other hand, the basic things do exist in Portugal. And the basic things, I'm not about to create here a conflict or to tell people just confront your treating physician. No, but there are basic issues that each and every one of us as a client first deserves, second should strive for. And I'm talking about the very basic issues that really sometimes lacking in the treatment in Portugal, and at least you know me already, it drives me a little bit crazy.
Yes.
So I'm talking about basic registry, for example, of complaints and of the outcome of an emergency visit or a consultation. Unfortunately, although very well written and described in the Portuguese patient rights, many doctors prefer not to write anything while examining you, and for sure not to hand over a summary of your consultation, which creates, you wanted examples, which creates a bit of frustration on our side as your case managers, or when it comes to really helping a patient, or even a patient himself going to another physician. Examples, you wanted it. An example from yesterday, and we have those on a daily basis. A client that is on a very specific treatment. It's a blood diluent. People are taking blood dilutants because of many reasons. One of the major reasons is, for example, somebody who has a prosthetic heart valve. Actually, in this case, this blood diluent is an essential treatment. You cannot stop it, you cannot play with it, etc., etc. A certain patient has an issue. It looks like maybe somebody who's taking blood diluent can bleed easily. With a history of a small trauma or without a history of a small trauma, a patient has some pain in a leg, goes to the emergency room because the pain is pretty bad. The doctor looks at her and says, it's probably because of your blood diluent. You know what? It might even have sense. So just stop it or just take less of it, and that's it. This will pass. Great. Nothing was checked, nothing was written, and the patient might even interpret this saying of a doctor in a bad way. Imagine that it didn't happen, but imagine that the same patient, because of the pain in the leg, and well, you know, people have their own sense, and they say, well, yeah, I'm taking this blood diluent, so I'm bleeding, so I should probably stop. The patient goes home, stops the treatment. In a couple of days' time, sorry, it might even lead to death, because if you have a clot in your artificial valve, you will die. And then you go back and you say, but hey, how did that happen? Who told you? Well, the doctor said. Mm-hmm. The doctor said what? Nothing is written, nothing is recorded, nothing is provided, nothing. There's nothing there. This is one example of hundreds. Another example of a client that was, all true stories, by the way, a client that went to an emergency room because of an abdominal pain. She apparently was examined. Nobody knows because there's no record of it, nothing, no paper written. The saying was, well, you might have some problem in your colon, whatever, take some antibiotics, here's the prescription. The prescription is written because you have to go with it, with a paper, to the pharmacy. Take these antibiotics, everything will be well. Okay, she takes the antibiotics, all doesn't go well because as she stops the antibiotics, the pain comes back, tremendously tremendously severe. She goes another time to the emergency room. Apparently, she has a small catastrophe in her abdomen. She needs an emergent surgery. Goes to surgery, whatever, solved. Now you go back and you want to ask what happened. Like, what was there? Was it okay to discharge you? Wasn't it okay to discharge you? Was it okay to prescribe the medications? No, yes, what was done? Nothing is written. Now, these are, in a way, kind of a little bit of extreme examples, but you're right as a patient to have the advice of your physician or his opinion written is a basic right. Not only that this is a basic right, if you want to go to the next physician or you want to go back to your family practitioner and show what were the thoughts of the doctor that you have visited, you have nothing. And this is a very, very basic right. This is a very basic right, not because you just need a paper, not because you're gonna, I don't know what, put it in your medical record, not because you're collecting papers. It's your basic right because when a physician writes his opinion, he has to think of what he has written. He has to think that everything that he did, everything that he said is on record, and that creates a totally different approach of a physician to you as a client. I don't want to say that doctors always kind of discard you as a client. I don't want to say that everyone is negligent, for sure not. But the fact that there's a written record of your interaction, a written record of my opinion as your physician, creates a totally different level of commitment. And this is what at least we advise all our clients to do. When you go to a physician, please, you know what, just have a small list of what should I ask. Don't forget. Ask everything, and only when you're satisfied and you understood and everything is clear, You have completed your to-do list, but the last thing on the to-do list, please ask your physician for a summary of this interaction. It puts everything on a totally different perspective. By the way, again, this is your right. This is the obligation of the physician, by the way, to create a record, to write something on record. And from there, we all can kind of continue. And if something goes wrong, if something wasn't clear enough, there's a written statement. Nobody can get wrong with that.
And this is exacerbated presumably by the fact that there isn't a shared record system, right? Or maybe even it's one of the causes of the problem is people think, well, you know, this isn't going to go anywhere. It's not like another doctor and another part of the country is going to read this on our centralized system, because actually that doesn't exist in Portugal yet, does it?
Right. Centralized system does not exist. And this is a different issue. But this only actually points out or emphasizes the need for something to be written, because I went to a doctor. What did he tell you? I don't remember. Oh, wow! Like, why did you go?
Yeah, it's not the sort of thing you want to be guessing at, really, is it? He said something about drinking more water. I think I can't remember now. I was ill at the time. That's what happened.
So that's the problem. I mean, the only thing that you're left with is the prescription. All right. But if you want to go back to your family practitioner, you want to show somebody else what was done, what the doctor thought of. You know what? Even if you have said, if the physician prescribed you something and you got allergic to it, what was it? Like, I had once a prescription. Yeah, but where's the prescription? I handed it to the pharmacy. Okay. And the pharmacist gave me a medication, yes, and I had a bad rash, and I had swelling of my tongue, whatever. This is life-threatening allergy. What was it that you were allergic to?
Don't know.
I don't know.
Just got the prescription.
It was a white pill. Okay. Where is it written?
It came in a little packet, blister pack, in a cardboard box.
Where is it written?
You have to be a forensic. You have to be a forensic pharmacist to work your way backwards to the condition with that. So clearly, we need a centralized system at some point. Now, Rafaela, you're getting some lovely feedback here. Welcome, Rafaela from Jim White. Somebody obviously works with you already. Rafaela works wonders at Serenity. Isn't that lovely to hear as well?
It's lovely, yes.
And Serenity will help you to use it. Oh, this is the health system. It's a win-win. Okay, so that's fantastic. Oh, and if you wouldn't mind passing this on.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Hello to Sophia as well.
Hello to Sophia.
In the team. But, you know, Portugal, the multi-banco system, 5G, all of these wonderful technological advancements, with the size of the population, it wouldn't be that difficult, would it, to have a centralized patient record system? Maybe the patient keeps it on an app on their phone. Why is it so difficult?
I honestly think they are trying, you know. I honestly think things will get better with time. But in Portugal, everything is a little bit slow improving, you know. Mm-hmm. Portugal is a beautiful country, and I believe that everyone tries their best. But sometimes we still have a culture like that is a little bit about we will get there, and we will get there. And we are not like right in the moment, let's go, let's do it. It's why we have to go for our rights, and we have to always know them, to be able to use them, to try to overcome this culture that goes with, okay, one day maybe we will have an app, but for now we don't have a paper for you. Okay. But we can ask for the paper. We can ask for the records.
Yes, and Pam, to be fair, Pam's saying here the SNS portal does exist.
Exactly.
But does it do all the things we're talking about here? Does that
no?
work?
So the SNS portal does exist, and by the way, it when it works, it's tremendously helpful. You have your history of vaccines there. You have some of the history of your encounters with doctors. The problem is that it does not encompass everything. First, okay. Second, you have all the prescriptions. Absolutely, You have some of the doctor's notes, not everything. You have part, and this is relatively new, you have part of your lab exams if you went to a place that is connected to the SNS system. And yet, not everything is there. You can ask Rafaela or any one of our case managers, when somebody comes to the emergency room of a public system, you can't find their files from the SNS system. It's very partial, and specifically if you go to different private clinics, forget it. You don't have anything there. You might have your record if you have my KUF, if you have my LUSH, if you have each and every application of the hospitals. Again, sometimes you can have it there. Yeah. Not all the time, not everything. And this is the problem. And again, unfortunately, not everything is paperless, whatever. Please ask. It's a simple thing, a simple request. Ask your physician for a written report of what he has done. That's it. That's it. It's so simple. It's a click on a button. It should be printed. And if it's not printed, be aware. Again, please. I mean, not to fight with the physician, but please ask him. I would very much like to show what Senor Doctor thought of what I said. Please write it. I just want to bring it back to my referring physician.
That's so a lovely little insight there. So, Senor Doctor would be the right, not greeting, but or salutation, but the correct way of addressing your doctor, and to show due respect in that situation, because that is a little bit different in Portugal, right? The professions are highly regarded. So, Senor Doctor would be a useful way of communicating with your doctor, right? Just so people know.
Yeah, again, normally I hope that you get to see a physician that speaks English, and then you don't need to be so formal, but just say doctor. But hey, it's basic, all right? Yeah. Doctor, please, I would very much like a written summary of this event, because I would like it for my record, and I would like to show it to my referring physician. It's so simple.
And as you say, it's a patient right. Another comment, I think this is probably more directed at you, Rafaela, than to Michael. I love Lisbon nurses. Very good. Thank you for sharing. And we have a question as well. Hola, bon dia from Tianjiang Yang. Hola, bon dia. One question about the insurance to the senior people. My friend in his mid-60s with heart and blood pressure problems, whether he can apply for a commercial insurance in Portugal. As in private, I think is what you mean by commercial. Serenity don't sell insurance. You work very closely with Nuno, of course, for example, but that shouldn't be a problem, should it, for Qiang Yang's friend there?
No, it's not a problem. And thank you for reminding everybody, we're not an insurer, we are not a broker, which actually works for the benefit of our clients, because we're absolutely client-centered. What we're looking for is the best solution for our client. Yeah. So for the specific question, yes, there are insurers in Portugal that would provide a proposal and would put people above the age of 60 with pre-existing conditions on their plans. Those insurers have their own, small things to consider. But again, what we do with all our clients is that we sit with them, we create their profile as a future insuree in a way, look together with them upon all possible and available plans in Portugal, and then decide together what suits them best. And from there, we even help them utilize this insurance, because when you pay for it, you better use it.
Okay, I think there's a bit of an issue here as a continuation of the question. And this might be for our guest from 9:30. It's a legal question. Is this legal here in Portugal that the underwriter rejects a customer's application due to his bad health situation? Obrigado. Would you be able to fight alongside the alongside the broker possibly in this sort of situation, Michael or Rafaela?
We normally would ask a broker to deal with it. But part of, and I'm not getting into the details, but part of the things with underwriters and insurers in Portugal is the very simple fact that each and every legitimate resident in Portugal is entitled to full coverage of his health situation by the national system. So actually an insurer that rejects you or does not provide you a full scope insurance doesn't prevent you from getting treatment. Yeah, and this is part of the very specific landscape, in a way, of health insurance in Portugal.
Okay, and Antonio, adding to this, because the health insurance is not mandatory in Portugal, insurance companies can refuse to accept a customer. So there you go. Thanks for all the advice, as Tiang Zhongyang, with this, and thank you for joining us this morning. A first time, I think, for you. MGen is being recommended by James. They call me Mellow Yellow. That's right, Slick. There on the screen. Another, not so much a question really for you, and thank you for clarifying that. Nom de Plume is saying, I need Serenity to come and pick me up in the US and escort me to Portugal. Joking, not joking. Can you offer this service yet, Michael? There's another idea for you this morning.
In a way, yes. I mean, look, we are not we are not only an advocacy company. We provide medical care. We literally exist, and nurses and doctors literally can provide medical care. Part of the care can be escorting a patient, if needed, between places. But hey, let's see who has a visa to the States. And
yes, I think we're going to work on this, Nom de Plume.
Actually, Portuguese do not need a visa to the States, I think, right?
No, there you go. Hello, yeah, just a homecoming. But if you want the Serenity 5-star treatment, with some low-fat champagne at the airport and a limousine, that can be organised at additional cost, I suspect. We'll talk about that after the show. Hello, Serenity. What is the cost for an initial consultation? So your business model, how does it work? We are new to Portugal. Is this a service that can help an incomer move their care package, e.g. Their health service, the NHS, from Britain to the Portuguese system, or would it be better to start with a private health insurance? And if so, do they cover existing conditions? I've noticed many folk returning to the UK to have operations or to continue their treatment, and that is a tactic some use. But would you care to answer that question? How would Beverly engage with you? What would it cost?
So first of all, she can engage with it through your business directory, right?
Absolutely.
We're over there. Second, there's not a cost for initial consultation unless it's an advocacy about very much future ahead, moving to Portugal, and somebody wants to understand how it all works. But otherwise, it's a membership structure. We do help with all the transmission into the Portuguese world of healthcare. Rafaela and her colleagues are the ones taking care of this smooth transition with the prescription medications, bringing in all your medical file, etc., etc., etc. If people are returning to the UK, I don't know, but if they are, it's okay. But I do think that in the right hands, with the right guidance, Portugal is more than capable of providing a very good healthcare, for sure, when it comes to complex situations. Actually, it's a little bit of an absurd. When it comes to complex situations, the system works much better than just seeing an orthopedic surgeon on the outpatient basis. Right. But otherwise, again, Rafaela and the team are here to understand your needs, escort you through all the process of getting into Portugal, getting treatment here. This is what we do for a living.
There you go. That's fantastic. Thank you for being here, Michael and Rafaela. Lovely to meet you. Muito prazer this morning. There is the link that you need for anybody who wants that, Beverly and Mr. Yang as well. Just a couple more comments then before you go, if I may. Pam saying the system does exist, but needs to be improved and joined up to the private system. Still better than the UK from the patient perspective, having instant access to your records. So yeah, and in the meantime, until it is improved, Serenity are here to help you, obviously, as you've discovered this morning. Antonio, what's this? Oh, telling us about, he's boasting, he's in the gym, I think, early this morning. Oh, I started with the gym. I'm already working. Good for you. That's the sort of lifestyle we approve of at Serenity, isn't it? Taking your health and vitality seriously there. And I think we had another comment coming. Oh, Beverly saying obrigado as well to you. Yes, Tiang Yong Yang. The link above will help you with all your questions. Of course, it will. And Serenity, as you can see from that screen share, can be found in our business directory. And rather dramatically here, Nom de Bloom is saying, I don't need medical care per se, just someone to catch me if I die mid-flight. Stop being so dramatic, Nom de Plume. Get yourself over here. Get signed up with Serenity when you arrive. But I'm sure if you do want somebody to hold your hand on the flight, maybe it's fear of flying that we're dealing with here. I suspect somebody in the community can help. with that. Rafaela, so great to meet you. Hope you'll come back another time. Great to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Is that your lovely Lisbon office there? It looks beautiful behind you. Look like you're
Yes.
one of those one of those lovely Lisbon buildings. Beautiful with the sunshine coming in. Hope you have a lovely day there in the city. Thank you, Michael, as well for being here this morning.
Thank you. Pleasure as usual.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
There they
Bye
go.
bye.
There they go. Okay, so goodbye to you both. And sorry, I need to get rid of, not get rid of, but escort Rafaela from the program. You got a quick flash of Daniel there. He's going to be on with us in just a moment, and I need to remove this from the screen as well, so I can properly welcome Daniel. That wasn't very slick.
Having fun today, aren't you?
Yeah, getting a bit excited and pressing the wrong buttons there. But we gave everybody a lovely preview of what's to come in this final half hour of the show. Our favorite Lisbon, how are you? Is Lisbon nice and quiet now?
Well, indeed it is. August in Lisbon, it's usually a signal of no traffic, so not a lot of people driving around. So it's a good month to work in Lisbon, actually, because you don't have people delivering the kids to school, and everyone is out and about in Algarve or somewhere else. So it's usually a good month to work in Lisbon. I do like to be in Lisbon in August. Brilliant. I'd rather take my holidays during July. And work in August.
Yep. Did that happen though, Daniel? Have you had a rest this year, or have you delayed things for this year?
Well, I did take a week off this July, the last week of July, and I'm going to take another week in August because I'm going abroad. But if it's to stay in Portugal, I'd rather take my holidays during July. Usually the weather is better comparing to August. August is a bit more windy. And I do rather work in August because no traffic, not a lot of people in Lisbon, and it's good to work in the city in this month.
Fantastic. Well, it's good to have you here. Look, answering legal questions this morning. So get those into the chat, everybody. If you've got a legal situation, or you have a situation where the help of a lawyer might be useful, then ask it this morning. Daniel's here for the next half hour. And just to give people a sense of the areas you cover, I mean, what I tend to hear about you, Daniel, is how excellent you are. To the point, sorting things out, quick to respond, and really helpful, whether it's, help with a house purchase or some matter of litigation. What are the areas you cover? And it's nice to get that sort of feedback and those testimonials, isn't it?
Well, we mainly cover the nationality law, so people that want to request a Portuguese nationality. I would say the main area of business at the current moment is real estate, so advising people on to do a legal purchase, a safe legal purchase in Portugal in real estate. And we do cover the country from top to bottom, so we have offices in Faro, Lisbon, and Porto to cover the country from top to bottom. We do deal with golden visas as well. This is one of our main areas. We do assist clients incorporating in Portugal. So anyone that wishes to incorporate in the country, to set up a company here, we do advise on that as well, and take all the legal steps necessary to incorporate in the country. And finally, a bit of tax law. So people that want to request NHRs and that want to be advised on tax law, we do cover that as well. I would say those are the main areas. Connected with this, we do work a bit with labor law as well, because it's connected with corporate law. People that want to set up companies here usually want to hire people, and thus we work with labor law and contractual law in a general and broader sense. So if you do need a contract developed in Portugal, we will be able to assist. And this is the main areas that we do cover in our law firm.
That's brilliant. So pretty much the process of coming over and setting up, whether it be your house or your business that you're setting up, you can help.
Correct.
With these things. And if you can't help with anything, I know you're great on referrals as well. This matter that we've been talking to you about with dealing with wills, because there is a different angle on when it comes to how wills are treated and how wills are dealt with in that unfortunate situation.
It's usually people do like to plan for the worst case scenario, and this is death, of course, and asset distribution. And as we did cover before, the Portuguese law is a bit stringent. It's a bit it doesn't provide the freedom that people wish to have. Therefore, if you are a foreign national living in Portugal, having the Portuguese law not being applicable in your situation is usually something that we do advise. And we did prepare a solution for that. That's the international will that we can offer to our clients. So indeed is something that it's something that if you have assets in Portugal, it should be kept in your mind that you should avoid having the Portuguese law applicable. So this is something that we handle, and we will provide that service as well.
Superb. Okay. Before anyone gets any questions in, that's a lovely observation, Louise, and some lovely feedback there. Helpful topics today. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
A great service. Good to know. I did ask you before about how the Portuguese government, legislature, the legal system is involved with contracts in Portugal. There are differences in the way that the law works in this country that people might like to know about this morning, and I certainly would.
There's especially in the US or UK mentality, there's a big tendency to put everything into the contract. So it needs to be all written down. Otherwise, people get really worried. But the continental law has a lot of things codified. So as it's in the civil code or in any other code, as a matter of a fact, we don't need to put it in the contract. So I would say that our contracts in Portugal are shorter than a contract that would be elaborated in the US, because a lot of things are indeed regulated by the civil code. This is good and bad, because on one perspective, if it's in the law, you don't need to worry about it and you don't need to insert it in the contracts. On the other side, it doesn't provide as much freedom as the people that are celebrating the contract would like. And we see this a lot, especially with rental agreements. And the law that regulates the rental agreements, it's quite protective of the tenants, but sometimes the tenants don't want to have what is decided in the law, and they would like to put things in the contract otherwise. But in some specific parts, the law is mandatory, and you cannot avoid applying the law even if you put it in the contract. So if some stipulation is in the contract but it's against the law will of course prevail, and that stipulation in the contract will be as it's not written indeed in the contract.
So there is that distinction then. And you said it was continental. It's not just Portugal. This tends to be the European way, does it, apart from the UK?
Correct. This is continental Europe. Our law, the Portuguese law, is based a lot, of course, in the Roman law, but in the French and German law. So although differences do apply in terms of the civil law, the civil code, they don't vary that much between the Portuguese, French, and the German civil code. They are, I would say, fairly close to each other. That you won't find a lot of differences if you do read the codes from top to bottom in terms of the organization and the stipulations over there. So the continental law, the Portuguese law, is based on those two systems, the French and the German one.
And this is a cultural phenomenon then that people might recognize, is that you will see, won't you? And I mean, Gilda was talking about this yesterday, the new digital nomad visa. It has been approved at the government level, and which presumes then that a law is in formation or a law has been made, and then that will filter down into the bureaucratic process. Is that part of this as well?
Yeah. Well, you have what is called the hierarchy of the laws.
Yes.
There's a big discussion on what is in the top of the pyramid, if it's the Portuguese constitution or the European laws that are approved by the European Parliament. Okay. My opinion is that it's the Portuguese constitution, because that's the document that was approved by the will of the people, and it was voted by the will of the people. And although some debate is ongoing on this, and there's people that do think are more leaning towards the opinion that the European regulations are above the Portuguese constitution. I don't follow that opinion. First, it will come the constitution, then international law as the European regulations, or even other international law that may be applicable in Portugal. Then, on the same level, you have the laws and the decree laws, and those are approved either by the government or by the assembly, so the parliament. And then you have below this the decrees that will come from the regional parliaments like Madeira and Azores, and then regulations that are done by the ministries, and some other regulations that will come out from, for instance, from the Portuguese tax authorities and the administrative sector that will produce those regulations to just say how they operate or how that law will operate in the nitty-gritty, as you call it, of the intricacies of the Portuguese administration. So you have this hierarchy of the laws, and as you said, it will trickle down. So once a law is approved, the regulations will need to be approved after that, and this will be incorporated in the Portuguese legal system, but it does take time. So sometimes people do get frustrated. They'll say, well, the law was already approved by the parliament. And we say, whoa, 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 whoa. Take a deep breath, because this will need to be approved by the president, and after it's approved by the president, it will have this is a Latin expression. It's vacatio legis, is a time that the law will take to be implemented, and after that vacatio legis is indeed passed, the law will be in full swing in the Portuguese legal system. But then sometimes you do have the regulation that will need to come out. This happened, for instance, in the nationality law, where the nationality law was approved, but they didn't publicize the regulation for 1 year. So we were basically selling a bit in the dark, because we didn't know the direction of the regulation, and they were not accepting new processes. So it was, I wouldn't say fun, but it was an interesting time to live at the time, because we were just waiting for the regulation. It took more than a year.
So that's amazing, isn't it? And this is something people need to get their heads around and get used to.
I
mean, it's a cultural difference, and that it's all part of moving
Indeed.
to Portugal, is
Yes.
embracing the difference. And you can stand there shouting at the windmill if you like, or you could embrace and go with the flow here. And I think this is one of the areas where it's to go with the flow and understand what's going on. And that's why I'm asking these questions this morning. So really, the law isn't the law until it comes into practice.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so it's theoretical and conceptual and constitutional, and then until the rubber hits the road of everyday practice,
exactly.
That's when you really know you've got a law on your hands here in Portugal. And
that's basically it.
And the little phrase there that people will see in the newspapers, on the news, even when they're going about their business and looking at contracts, decree law. That is this process you're talking about. It's the decree that's made at the highest level and then filters down into everyday life, governing the affairs of people.
Correct.
Wow.
Indeed.
Okay. How fascinating. I would like to come back to how it all works with, whether there's a similar system of the county courts, the Crown courts and the High courts. Obviously, it's going to be different here. That's the language I understand. But we have some. We will have some questions here first.
Okay, let's go.
And going back to the will question. We had a will written in the UK. Do we need to have one here? Married couple, no kids, no special circumstances. Is there a plot twist for Pamela here?
Well, I do think that the best course of action is indeed to have that international will written down here. Just basically stating that you do not wish, although you are a legal resident in Portugal and you have the residency permit, you do not wish the Portuguese law to be applicable. This is called an international will, and it basically will refer your nationality law. It can refer the will that you have already, stating that you don't want the Portuguese law to be applicable, and you already have a will and the UK, and that is the governing law and the governing will that you wish to be applied. And this will indeed avoid the application of the Portuguese Portuguese law to the assets in Portugal. The assets abroad, all assets that the clients may have abroad, this is not a preoccupation because the law will be the one from the nationality or the one where the places where the assets are located. The only worry is if you do have assets in Portugal, like cars, houses, or even bank accounts, just to avoid having any problems with what is the law to be applicable. Indeed, the international will is the way forward. If you don't have any problems with the Portuguese law being applicable, and this generally is the spouse will inherit, well, depending on the property, the marital property regime, and this is where things get a little bit difficult comparing with the UK regime, because you in Portugal, the mentality is that you either have a prenuptial agreement and separation of property, so total separation, each spouse has his own property, or joint property after the marriage. This is the default marital property regime in Portugal. And the one that my parents have, for instance, is all assets are joint, either before the marriage or after the marriage. It's all joint assets, but this is due to the time that they got married. This was before the revolution, and this means that it's the joint assets are all together and not after the marriage. And if the property is joint property, if one of the spouses passes away, the other spouse will inherit the full property that they may have here in Portugal. And this is having the property law or the law that governs the passing away of someone in Portugal applied. If on the other side they wish to govern their assets on any other way, like donating the bank accounts to an institution or to someone else, then I would definitely have the Portuguese law not applied and not applicable, because this is usually not well accepted within the Portuguese law. Basically, the spouse will inherit half of it, and the kids will inherit the other half. And this is how things are governed here. And if you want to distribute things a little bit different, then the Portuguese law will not accept it.
Oh, it just won't be accepted. You can't create your own.
You can create your will, but if the will is against the Portuguese law, then the Portuguese law will win at the end. And to avoid this is the reason that we recommend the international will. It's basically you just need one of the spouses to have not a Portuguese nationality, or to have double nationality, Portuguese and UK or Portuguese and US. And as long as you don't have a foreign connection, you can have an international will and have that law applied to the passing away of someone here.
Interesting. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions, I think, at least here. So for the people on the golden visa who have a number of passports, would they have this overriding document in all of the territories where they have other nationalities? Is that how it would have to work?
Well, I can't speak about other territories because I don't know how their law operates. In Portugal, my advice is indeed, if they wish to have something different than the spouse inherits half of it and the kids will inherit the other half, then definitely have an international will stating that the law to be applied is the Chinese law or the South African law, any other law that you have your passport from. But this applies not only for golden visa clients, but for anyone that has a residency permit here in Portugal and assets here in Portugal. Especially having a residency here in Portugal will, by the due effect of the law, have the Portuguese law involved. If you just have one asset here, but you don't have a residency permit, if you just bought one property as an investment or an holiday or a home for your holidays, the preoccupation is not that big. But having a residency permit will have an element of connection that will eventually make the Portuguese law applicable to the passing away of that person. And to avoid this, if you do have a residency permit here, either D7, D2, golden visa, work permit, this means that if you don't want the Portuguese law to be applicable, have an international will, definitely.
Okay, very good. And you can help with that.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is
All right,
something that we are assisting our clients.
All right. So the other way of looking at this, why would I not want Portuguese law to be applicable? Well, if you're happy with the law as it stands, as Daniel has just described it, then you don't need to do anything, right?
That's it. That's it.
Yes.
If you don't mind having the spouse inherit 50% and the kids, if they do exist, inherit the other 50% in equal shares,
Yes.
then totally fine. You don't need an international will whatsoever. If on the other side, you don't want one of the kids to inherit the property because you've decided that already in the will that you have in the UK or the US, and this is something that it's possible in the UK or US law, you can govern the distribution of your assets as you do seem fit. But in Portugal, this is not accepted. You cannot take one of the kids out of the inheritance unless he has practiced something like trying to kill you. But basically, you're laughing, but this is true. Unless they are considered someone that did something as attempted murder, it's quite difficult to avoid that kid to inherit the portion of your property that he's entitled to. And if you want to avoid this, then definitely international will.
Okay, so Pam, if you're happy to default to Portuguese law as it's been explained to us this morning, then do nothing. If you want to change the outcome, then of course speak to Daniel about having the international will as described. Next question. Then a friend explained how she'd been sued 4 times at building disputes, and I was wanting to ask you, not because I want to sue anybody, but how the process works in general. Apparently, people run straight to court instead of sorting things out themselves. Is this true in Portugal?
I do find that to be strange. Well, this is not the law or the way that we face law in our law firm. The way that we try to frame things is we should obtain a settlement first. And if a settlement is not possible, if the parties cannot agree whatsoever, then we do move into legal action. But I'm the type of lawyer that will avoid going to court in Portugal. And even if the settlement is not a good one, even if the settlement is below expectations, I do think it's better than to go to court. And this is because of the time that going to court takes here. It's basically a situation that will drag on for 3 or 4 years, or sometimes even more, and that will create a lot of frustration for someone that wants to see the situation sorted out quickly. But unfortunately, civil litigation in Portugal does take a substantial amount of time. And if it's litigation against the Portuguese state on the administrative courts, it's even worse. It can take 8 to 10 years to have a decision on the first layer of courts. So if possible, and there's some negotiation room to obtain a settlement, definitely we try to mediate the situation and avoid having the courts involved. If this is not a possibility and the parties are just too far away that it isn't, the possibility of an agreement is non-existent, then there's no other way to make our the rights of our clients enforce them going to court, then definitely we need to go to court. But we try to avoid it, and we try to settle things before going to court, definitely.
Yeah, and it's a last resort, as I understand from what you're saying.
In my perspective, it is.
And yeah, okay, well said. Yeah, because that might not always be the case. I mean, is there a growing culture in Portugal of people who want to take their clients to court and win the case, a little bit like America, perhaps?
I don't think so, because it's expensive going to court. The fees that the Portuguese government charges to have a civil litigation ongoing is substantial, I would say, and legal fees as well from lawyers or solicitors. They are usually they are substantial, and we don't have a no win, no fee culture in Portugal. This is quite common in the UK, but in Portugal is not that common, especially because the Bar Association forbids this. You cannot have a no win, no fee situation here in Portugal. You always need to charge some legal fees to the client, and then you can maximize your income with the result of the legal action. And this is to avoid the financial pressure to win the case and to do something that would be unlawful. So the Bar Association tends to look at the no win, no fee with a lot of suspicion, and they can even as a lawyer, you can get consequences if you have a no-win, no-fee situation, and if the Bar Association does perceive this. So there's not lawyers doing this practice, or if they are doing, they shouldn't, because this is not what the Bar Association wishes. So this stops a lot of processes from going to court because it will have a cost to the clients. And this means that only if the client really wishes to pursue the legal action and has the financial means to do so, will be able to pursue the situation in court.
This is great. Thank you for explaining that. And presumably, I'm glad to hear that, I have to say, on a personal note. And this is why Johnny and Amber didn't have their case in Portugal. So Johnny, Depp, and Amber, you're welcome to come on holiday, but you're not going to be having your court case like that over here in this country. Fantastic. Yeah. And then to the other part of this question, apparently people run straight to court instead of sorting things out themselves. Now, there's a growing trend, I think, around the world in divorces, for example, to be more to have conciliation and counseling, and instead of it going to a really sort of drastic and dramatic situation, to have some sort of mediation. Mediation is the word I'm looking for. Is mediation available in this sort of instance where there's a dispute between neighbors? Is that a facility in Portugal? Can people be encouraged to talk to each other?
You do have mediation courts, although I don't think that they work properly. So they're not the provision exists in the law. They're not set up in every district. So you do have in the main districts, you have those mediation courts. But if you cannot get into an agreement, then it will go to the normal court. I would say that the mediation is a good tool to resolve a lot of disputes. And we, as law professionals, as lawyers, do try to have that implemented. Even if we don't go to mediation court, we will contact the other party. We'll try to say, well, this is our claim. We wish to reach a settlement. What is your position? What is your understanding of this situation? And try to have the sort of a mediation done before even going to court. I don't find that the way that we tried mediation courts before, the results were not that satisfactory. So we don't tend to use those mediation courts a lot here, just because our past experiences were not that great, I would say.
Okay, so a noble aspiration, not necessarily working out well, but you operate that as a professional, as a kind of your consciousness around the law is in that department by the sound.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Fascinating information from the excelentíssimo Daniel Reis. Obrigado, Senor Daniel.
Thank you.
From Nom de Plume there. And okay, says Pam, I don't think we need to do anything. We have joined assets, no kids. I think that's the result for you.
Correct.
Does Portuguese law automatically override foreign wills trust with assets outside PT if no action is taken to do it otherwise? I think same question, same answer there, really, Daniel, right?
Well, if the clients do not have any residency permits here in Portugal, they just have the assets, the Portuguese law will not override anything. But if they do have the residency permits here, the Portuguese law may override the wills abroad, unless the wills abroad do specifically state that that asset, the Portuguese asset is mentioned in those wills, and that will abroad will basically state that the Portuguese law is not applicable. So usually to avoid this, to avoid rewriting the will done outside, the way to circumvent this is that international will, just stating that all assets bought in Portugal, the ones existing and the ones for the future, if they do buy anything else, the Portuguese law will not be applicable whatsoever in that situation. And this will exempt all assets in Portugal from the Portuguese law, and the foreign law will be applicable, either mentioned in the will done abroad or not. This is basically the way to face things. If if the will done abroad already mentions the Portuguese assets and mentions that the Portuguese law should not be applied, I would say that you are on the safe side. If it doesn't, and usually it doesn't, because people will have the will written before they move to Portugal, and thus that will not mention the Portuguese assets, and this is where the problem is created.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. I think we've dealt with that amply. Thank you very much, Daniel, for your excellent input and information this morning. As ever, of course, it's 10 o'clock now, and this question has come in. I think we might need to carry this over as our discussion next time. But we could leave this hanging here, couldn't we? Speaking about wills, why do so many properties remain abandoned if the Portuguese law is clear about the distribution of assets? Should we talk about that next time?
Well, I can approach this in 30 seconds. This is due to the Portuguese migration effect. So there's a lot of people that moved abroad, and you do need everyone present to have the property distributed. So I've had situations that 20 people were sitting down at the same table just to have the property sold to someone else. And we were talking about 100K properties in the middle of nowhere in Portugal. So the main situation that this creates is that if you have 3 generations with 20 people involved, everyone will need to provide consent for property to be sold. And what this actually creates is a lot of properties do remain abandoned because someone is in France or Canada and they don't return to Portugal. They don't have any connection to Portugal. Sometimes they don't even know that they've inherited that piece of property because their long lost grandfather never told that they had some vineyard in Douro, and now they are known that they are the property owners of a piece of land in Portugal. That's basically the result of our inheritance laws being so stringent, and you cannot decide if it goes to A or B. It just goes to the heirs, if the heirs want it or not, if they are in France, South Africa, or someone else. So this is connected with a big portion of the Portuguese population, more than half of it, of our population. We probably are about 15, 16 million Portuguese citizens, and 6 million are abroad, and the descent of those people are abroad as well. So it's connected with that factor of our migration culture that we had in the 50s, 60s, and even now you have a lot of Portuguese migrating.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for nailing that. And I think we could have a whole episode and talk about it. But it's it's more, as you're saying there, it's more sociological than legal, isn't it? The law is clear,
so.
But it's a sociological phenomenon that we're dealing with here.
Correct.
Just a very quick final question, if I may. Is it likely, do you think, then, that the government will eventually seize property that is neglected and abandoned?
Well, there are provisions in the law for that, although it will face a lot of opposition to have that in full swing, because we try that. We try to approve what is called the social scope of property. So if the property is abandoned and derelict, it's not fulfilling the social scope of that is intended to have. And if it's not fulfilling that scope, then it should be seized by the government and sold in auction just to repay the taxes, and that someone that will be able to tend to that property will take care of it. But you do have a lot of opposition in Portugal, especially up in north. You have a culture of being a property owner, even if it's a small plot of land. And people do really feel about that, and they don't want the government to mess with their property rights. So I would say that this would face serious opposition if it came in full swing. There were some attempts to do that, especially in the city centers, because you still have some derelict buildings in Porto and Lisbon that are due to these problems, the secession problems that we were mentioning, that not everyone is agreeing, and the buildings just fall down. We do have a big example here at my law firm, and the street that we do have just in front of us. You have a whole building of property that is really, really, really expensive. It's in prime location, and it's been with the roof collapsed from 20 years ago, and as the heirs cannot get into a final consensus on the sale, it's just derelict over there. So in those situations, I would say that the public powers taking possession and selling it, so it can be the social scope can be fulfilled, and the property can be just enjoyed by someone else that would tend to it. It would be a good idea. In my opinion, it would be a good idea.
And it's a great subject, isn't it? And I think that we could go on talking a lot longer. You've been so generous with your time. If there's another entrepreneurial business opportunity you want to discuss over lunch with your colleagues, it could be finding out if you've got a Portuguese ancestor with who left a property to you. Francis is hoping for that. Daniel, I agree with Chris here. Thank you, Daniel. This was a great session.
Thank you.
A very useful session. Thank you. All the best, Daniel. Thank you so much. I'm sure you've got for you. Ciao, ciao, mate. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. I sensed that Daniel needed to go and meet with his 10 o'clock appointment there. So I'm very, very grateful to him for sticking around and answering that question for us. What an interesting subject. And I'm sure we will have other sessions delving into that. So superb. Thank you, everybody, for your questions there. We did want to talk about, well, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it or not, but I'm going to because I was sent this. Some people, don't want fluoride in their toothpaste because it gets wrapped around your third eye and causes all sorts of problems like that. There is a brand, Pasta Dentifrica, I'm going to go with because I messed up, didn't I, on Akarakush. There's no H, as people keep telling me. Thank you, James. Akarakush, not Akarakush. Akarakush, Elena, and not Asta Dentifrica, but Pasta Dentifrica, which I'm probably saying incorrectly as well, and I'll be corrected. But this Pasta Dentifrica Couteau, which has been going since 1932 on Consumer Tuesday, those of you who like a fluoride-free toothpaste, and thank you to James for pointing us in the direction of this, the first Couteau toothpaste formula was registered in the city of Porto on June the 13th, 1932, under the name Pasta Medicinal Couteau, medicinal paste, by Alberto Ferreira de Couto, pharmacy manager, with the assistance of a stomatologist friend. I don't know. He created the toothpaste with the aim of limiting the widespread cases of receding gums. It's a gumper thing, isn't it? Receding gumpers. The quality, that's hairlines, gums, everything. The quality of the product was to make it so successful that even today, for the older people in Portugal, pasta couteau is synonymous with toothpaste. The small production is still carried out by the Couto family. I tell you what, if there was a Good Morning Portugal shop, we'd stock it. It is a fantastic product to go alongside the likes of, what else have we got here that's been sent in this morning? And what I needed before, this could go in the shop, couldn't it, of traditional Portuguese items. Dr. Bayard's from Deagle there. I think that's in the NHS somewhere there, if I recognize that backdrop. Dr. Bayard, I needed one of those. I needed to suck on a doctor earlier on. But I think that problem has passed now. Thank you so much for being here. It's 8 minutes past 10. We've all got things to do now. Come on, get yourself a coffee and get your loins girded, some lead in your pencil and wind in your sails. I think there's a nice little bit of a deep thought for that. What have I done now? Couto. Thank you very much, James. What would I do without you? Not just fluoride-free, but a Portuguese family brand since 1932. Okay, this is a great resource. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Louise. Right back at you. Yes, when's your next video out? Do pop that in the chat there. Thanks, Daniel. You made it clear how unclear Portugal. Oh, stop it, Paul. I know that Paul is a very satisfied customer. I think. I'm not sure, actually. He might be a satisfied customer of Paul, of Daniel. Would you care to admit or deny such a status? Yes, of course. We love Daniel there. And I want to go to Ubi's comment earlier on. And we got rid of Love Chat XYZ, Best Adult Dating. Sorry if you were getting into that, but I had to block them because they were being a nuisance on this morning on Consumer Tuesday on the Good Morning Portugal show with expatsportugal.com. Do sign up at expatsportugal.com/community. Get involved in the forum over there, of course, and carry on with the debate that we began here this morning. Ubi, where's your fantastic comment about tilting at windmills? I said shouting at windmills, and Ubi, no. You don't shout at windmills. You tilt at windmills, of course. But then again, you might just go off and have a pastry and a coffee. I can't find your comment. It needs to be immortalized in some way. Ubi, thank you very much. Yeah, there you go. I will not shout at the windmill like Don Quixote. I will tilt at the windmill. But then again, maybe I'll just sit at the cafe and have another pastry. Living the dream there, Ubi. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. And it is a mystery to me who's on tomorrow because I can't quite remember. I think it's the Heronius Maximus tomorrow morning. Michael Heron, I believe, joins us on the first Wednesday of each month in our star-studded roster on this, the world-famous Good Morning Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. And we shall see you tomorrow. And I'll put any comments that come in now over the outro. You know how to whistle, don't you? You just put your lips together and blow.